Okay, today I wanted to just do a quick podcast style video of me discussing why there's been so many Pokemon leaks in the past, why Pokemon not only has so many leaks, but why Pokemon has a culture of leaks. Ever since Generation 6, all the Pokemon games have been released simultaneously across the world. But even before that, Generation 5, Generation 4, the people were getting information ahead of the games when Japan got them. Of course, it was a little bit different because you only got the Japanese names and you didn't really understand exactly what was going on because the internet wasn't really as fully developed as it is nowadays. But it was a little bit different, at least because Japan got the games first, and there was a little bit of time for the EN side to get everything. So then it was less of a leak and more of just advanced information from having the Japanese game be out first. But since Generation 6, all the games released simultaneously. So any new information that we get prior to release that's not through an official video or some other way of, disseminating information like the official website, right? If there's some information that doesn't come from those official channels, then it's going to be simultaneously broadcast to all the world. So everybody from Japan and China and the United States and Brazil and wherever else, they all want to get this information about Pokemon. They're all going to be attacking Pokemon or Game Freak all at the same time, trying to get that inside scoop. Now, I'd say leaks fall broadly into two different kind of categories. You get the leaks that come from official information getting out early, and then you have the second kind of leak, which is more the insider information. The first kind of leak is either, hey, I'm a GameStop employee, and I got the game a couple days early. Let me, dump the ROM online. Or I am somebody who's able to download the official game early because of pre-downloads, and I can now start hacking information to give you the raw stats and the Pokemon models, and I can just dump those all online, right? There's that kind. Additionally, Korokoro, the Japanese magazine, is a great place to get information, and those can get leaked online a few days early before the actual magazine comes out. Of course, that would have been officially released information when it did, but it got released a few days early, so it's still a leak in my opinion. But all of those only have a lead time of about a week at most. And all of those, of course, are information that would have been released normally if the leakers hadn't gotten to it. The other kind of leak is the one that's happening a lot right now, which is insider information. We aren't getting this a week in advance of some trailer. We're not getting this from scans of Korokoro. We're getting this from people who have beta copies of the game and are leaking that information to the public. I'm not exactly sure what kind of connections they have to Game Freak. Maybe they are beta testers who are bug testing, or maybe they are localizers. I can't imagine it would be anybody central to Game Freak, right? This isn't Ken Sugimori leaking online. This isn't probably even any of the coders. I would assume they're tertiary or some peripheral workers who are getting access to the game. But in any case, they have access to the game and have an incentive to leak it online. Whatever is motivating them is probably just internet fame or the pride in knowing that they were the ones to break the scoop. At the end of the day, since I don't have that kind of information, all I can do is speculate. I decided I would leave that to the side, right? I'm not interested in how these leaks are happening, because the why does Pokemon have so many leaks from the how the heck is this happening perspective is a topic unto itself. In today's video, what I more want to discuss is why does Pokemon itself have a leak culture as opposed to other video games? Because all these video games have to go through similar kind of steps that other games would, right? All of them have to get released on the eShop. All of them have to have localization happen. All of them have to have bug testing happen. And yet most of these games don't really have as many leaks. And I think there's something unique to Pokemon that makes it conducive to having a culture where there's people willing to consume leak content and people that are willing to put their careers on the line for leak content. Because remember, if you get caught doing this stuff, you're not going to have a career in the video game industry, or at least I should think you wouldn't. So it's a pretty risky business they're getting involved in, and there has to be a high enough incentive or motivation for them to be leakers. And I think Pokemon has a specific cocktail of ingredients that really lends itself to being a place or a franchise where people want to do leaking. And so I have 6 main reasons I want to go over really quickly as to why I think this is. So the first reason that I think Pokemon is very leak prone is because Pokemon is very character driven. So what I mean by character driven is not that the main character has this strong character design, or that the writers did a good job writing a good background or strong dialogue, because that's clearly not the case. And in fact, I would say that's the opposite of the case. Pokemon has very weak main characters. But the main character is not why anybody plays a Pokemon game. We play the Pokemon game for the starters, for the legendaries, for the random Kumons you find along the way. And by building a team of 6 unique Pokemon every game, we can create narratives each time we play through the game that are slightly different, right? Being able to create a team of 6 unique Pokemon is what gives Pokemon the game such a replayability. And so those characters, the Pokemon characters themselves, are the characters that you play the games for. And I think really that's what makes Pokemon such a character-driven game. And other games are very character-driven as well. A good example of another game that does have a leak culture of its own is Super Smash Bros. Super Smash Bros. Is a franchise that has strong fighting mechanics. Maybe you can debate on that point, but I'm not going to debate it. I assert that Smash Bros. Has strong fighting mechanics. It has a wide roster, it has great music, it has great stages for the most part, and has a strong fighting game scene. So if you want to play competitive, hey, that's more power to you. But at the end of the day, what are people interested in? Not interested so much in the music, although some people are. They're not interested in the stages. Again, some people are. What people really care about is what's the new character going to be in the game, right? As soon as Smash Brothers on the next generation console is announced, which it will be announced, people are going to freak out. They say, oh, what ones are going to return? Are they going to drop Chrom from the next game because there's too many Fire Emblem characters? Are they going to nerf Min Min? Will she even be in the game? Maybe they're going to add, what's his face, Crash Bandicoot. Maybe they'll add him into the game finally. And it'll all come down to if Sakurai can get the rights to the certain franchises. And there'll be a massive speculation on that point. So that's creating sort of this market for leak information. As soon as somebody can get that information out to the public, they can eat that up. Of course, it's a very risky endeavor to do so, because those ninjas are going to get you. But there are people out there who want that content, and so there are people who are willing to give that out. And so at least a few of the Smash Ultimate characters got leaked a couple days early. I can't remember which ones exactly. I know at least the Castlevania characters got leaked. And there were even maybe 1 or 2 DLC characters, I want to say. I don't remember exactly the details. But you can see that Smash Brothers is a very character-driven game, where people play the game, of course, because it's Smash Bros. And it's good. And of course, they're going to play the game no matter what. But what they're interested in when they play the game is, hey, can I play as fill-in-the-blank character? That's a big deal. And Pokemon is no different. Hey, are they bringing back the evolutions? Are they bringing back Gengar? Are they bringing back Togepi? Are they bringing back Rayquaza? Are they bringing back Bidoof? People want to see their favorite characters in the game. A lot of people like playing the games through with the same 6 Pokemon each time, which I don't personally understand. But if you grow strong attachment to these characters, which is sort of the whole point of the franchise, right? You love Espeon. Go buy all the Espeon plushies. Go buy all the Espeon merch that we plaster everywhere. They want you to love the characters. And so then to have them be in the game is something that people are really interested in. Not all games that Nintendo makes are really like this. For example, Legend of Zelda Are people going to freak out if the random Happy Mask salesman isn't in Breath of the Wild 2? No, of course not. Why would he be? And are they going to freak out if the 4 champions aren't in Breath of the Wild 2? Well, then maybe they'll make cameos, but we wouldn't expect them to. We want new characters, right? And because new characters don't necessarily fulfill certain niches like Pokemon or Smash Bros. Characters do, then if I were to tell you, hey, here's a random character who will be in the game, I'm like, cool, what do I do with that information? I don't know what that character does. I don't know if that character will be integral to the plot or if he'll just be a little bird with an accordion who stands on a rock and sings a song once in a while. There's no way for me to know if I should get hyped about this character. So Zelda is not a character-driven franchise. Of course, you have Zelda and you have Link and you have some of the other characters that are pivotal, and leaking those designs maybe would be interesting. But those are going to be some of the first designs that get shown publicly in the first place. So it's not really going to be that big of a leak if it happens, just because that's the first thing that will be shown officially anyway. And everything else after that, there's not really that much of a market for it. It's a different kind of franchise. So that's what I mean by character-driven. The second reason I think Pokemon has such a strong leak culture and that would make a game prone to leaks generally is if the game can be easily broken up into miniature-sized pieces. Now, Pokemon is easy to break up into mini pieces because you have individual Pokemon. I can show you a picture of Butterfree and say this is a Pokemon. Pokemon, if you have the general concept of what Pokemon are, then all you need to know is, hey, there's this Pokemon. It looks like this, and now you know exactly what things you'd be interested in finding out about it, right? What are its Pokedex entries? What are its typings? What are its stats? What moves does it get? Where do you find it? How early in the game do you find it, maybe, for instance? You know, those are all kind of questions you can ask about each individual Pokemon. But the design is going to be what ties that all together. And by leaking the design of this Pokemon, or the name of this Pokemon even, I can inspire some people to think those kinds of questions. Because Pokemon designs break apart from all the rest of the game. Again, like I said earlier with the Zelda designs, I don't know what a character does. I know exactly what a Pokemon does. I know exactly how this Pokemon is going to integrate in to competitive or into the main storyline. It's a Pokemon, right? Legendary Pokemon may be a little bit different, but at the end of the day, all Pokemon are just Pokemon. And I can assume that, hey, I should be able to play through this. Even Pokemon like Nebby were able to be playable, technically. The only one that really hasn't been playable is Eternatus Max Form or whatever it was called. And that's about it. So Pokemon then are able to be broken apart really, really easily. If I had a new Mario game coming out, like Mario Odyssey, if I don't understand how a concept plays because I've never seen it before. For example, we knew Mario Odyssey was about capturing with the hat, and we could be a dinosaur, for instance. But they didn't show off the little Pokebirds, or at least I don't think they did. The little Pokebirds at the end in Bowser's Kingdom. If I had leaked that to the public, people probably would have been pretty hyped about it, but we wouldn't have had a clear idea of what it meant because I wouldn't have understood the core concept of like the gameplay, nor would I have seen Bowser's Kingdom in action. So I would have been like, oh, that's a cute bird, and I can capture that and play. Is that cool? How does that play? How does that work? I have no clue. The Pokemon, every time I see a Pokemon, I know exactly how it works. I don't know if this is the best explanation for what I mean by breaking up into mini pieces, but the idea is that I not only have to have a character-driven game, but I need to understand an individual element of Pokemon. Even if we want to move past the Pokemon themselves, let's talk about breeding. So Pokemon breeding is a thing that's been in the game since Generation 2, but there have been different changes to breeding. For example, in Generation 8, they made the change that if you had an egg move on a Pokemon, you could put that with a Pokemon of the same exact type in with an empty move slot, and it would pick up that egg move. So you didn't have to breed a new Pokemon. You could just take an old Pokemon, a pre-existing Pokemon, remove one of its move slots, put it in with another one that has that egg move, and transfer it over that way. That was a really nice quality of life change. And if I leaked that to the public, they would understand that in that context, because that's something that's easily compartmentalized, and we understand the basic underlying principles of it. If, for example, in Smash Brothers, I said, there was no shielding in the game, that would be, of course, ridiculous and that would never happen. But if I were to say that, then you would understand what that meant as well. So many games have easily broken up into many pieces, components, but to have your entire game be structured around such a thing, I think is pretty powerful. The third point I want to talk about is time frame. So Pokemon has games that get announced like in March-ish or whenever, and then they come out in November. So it's like a 6 to 8 month period from announcement to release. If I were to announce something like Breath of the Wild 2 or Bayonetta 3, where I'm going to announce it and in 5 years from now, maybe it'll come out. Well, that's fine for Breath of the Wild 2. I think they should take their time. I want it to be a good, polished game. I don't want them to rush it. I'm not faulting them for that. But what I am going to say is that kills all the hype for the game. Because after the initial release trailer, then people put out their speculation videos, people put out their concept art, and their quirky little pictures of Link and Zelda going on a date. And then after that, nothing happens. Because we've exhausted all the things we wanted to do with that information. And we know we have to wait for another 5 years before the game's going to come out. So now we just sit back and wait, and all the hype goes away. On the other hand, if a game drops tomorrow after it gets revealed, well then there's not enough time to leak anything because it's coming out tomorrow. And you didn't hear about it before, so nobody's going to be invested enough to leak any information. So there's definitely going to be this Goldilocks zone where the game comes out in it too far away to just hold your horses and wait for it to come out tomorrow. But it doesn't come out so far away that we have nothing to leak at this time. And 2 years from now, 3 years from now, people will have forgotten and moved on. And it just should have it in the back of their head, right? Pokemon comes out 6 to 10 months of being announced. And that's just enough time for people to get excited about it and to get little drops of information along the way to keep the hype up. And so they're always going to be down for some new information. So that's a pretty easy concept, I think. The fourth point is sort of like it. The game needs to have a regular and constant release schedule. Now, there are games that come out occasionally that will also sometimes get leaked. A great example is currently ongoing. The Last of Us is getting a remake or whatever, and it's getting leaked all over on the internet right now, and people are having opinions about that. I personally don't have any opinions on that franchise because I don't care about that franchise. But people do, and so that, of course, is a big leak. And that does not have a consistent schedule. So this isn't to say that you have to have a consistent schedule to have people care. That's definitely not the case. And if Breath of the Wild, for instance, were to get leaked, or if Smash Brothers, which also does not have a consistent schedule, were to get leaked, those would be big leaks as well. But Pokemon, because it releases every year, or at least every other year, a main game or something that's a major release, right? Then people can stick around. So we have these perennial leakers who have leaked for multiple games. And as opposed to just having these one-off people coming out of the woodwork and we don't know who to trust, well, we have people who've been around for multiple generations, and we've built relationships with those leakers, some more toxic than others. And as a result, because these games come out on such a regular basis, we can consistently have feedback from these leakers. And as long as the leakers stick around, I suppose, if the ninjas don't get them, then they sort of stay in a job. The same goes with the data miners. We have trusted data miners in the community who, right on clockwork, as soon as those games get downloaded, they're out there putting out all the salient information, and people are able to turn to them directly because they know that they're going to be doing it. If these games didn't come out as regularly, then we would have to scramble and re-find people to do this every single time, I think. And so that's a really big difference, right? Another big one, of course, is who to trust whenever a new leak comes out. But if we have people who can stay within the Pokemon sphere and don't get caught, then after the first time it happens, maybe the next game comes out, and they're able to give that information, then that means that information is just going to be immediately picked up. And I think that contributes to the culture, right? A culture generally develops when you can have a stable group of people, right? A culture is built around a community. And this community of leakers exists because Pokemon keeps on happening over and over again, and the leaks keep happening over and over again. And so you see the same people popping up right and left. All right, number 5 is that a game that has a really strong league culture has something for everyone. And what I mean for that is that maybe you're a competitive player, right? You're a competitive Fortnite player, you're a competitive Minecraft player, or you're a competitive Pokemon player, or you're a competitive Call of Duty or League of Legends player, right? Whatever, pick your poison. Maybe you're a speedrunner, maybe you are a Minecraft like super builder who builds all the cool farms and whatever. All of those people need to get their fix. If you maybe are an artist on Twitter and you want to build your weird Rule 34 art, or you want to build your fake, oh, look at this leaked art, except for it was totally me, now check out my Pixiv. You want to have your information that you need to do your job. If you want to be somebody who theorizes about things, you need to have your information as well, and then the list goes on. And Pokemon really has that in spades for everybody, right? Of course, the competitive aspect is what we'll focus most on this channel, and many other channels as well, right? We want to know the base stats, we want to know the abilities, we want to know, the typings. How good is this going to be? We can all speculate about that. That's really important. As soon as the games come out, we'll have the optimal move sets for all these mons and show you good teams for them in their respective tiers as soon as they're developed. That's the kind of stuff that gives competitive players life. Artists, of course, as soon as Rowlet comes out, people are going to make cute little pictures of owls, and as soon as Serena comes out, people are going to start doing unspeakable things to her. It all comes down to whatever you want to do. Of course, a big one, especially in the leak community, is how quickly can I come up with the fake concept art. Everybody wants to be like, oh, I found the concept art for the new fill-in-the-blank Pokemon, and I'm not going to spoil anything here, so I'm going to just leave that generic. But I've seen a lot of those fake concept arts come out, and then some of them, of course, aren't even for actual leaks, but they get to have their little field day. Same happened in Smash Bros, right? You're going to have the fake reveal for fill-in-the-blank character, but then it turns out I'm just a really good 3D graphic modeler, and I made a graphic model for Geno and put him into Smash Brothers, and now check out the rest of my art because now I got your attention. Theorists, of course, in the Pokemon community abound, and you want to look at some of these Pokedex entries or the design elements and say, oh, well, see, this Pokemon is based off of this particular salamander, which is indigenous to this particular region of the world. And let me tell you all about this salamander and how it relates to this Pokemon. And the etymology of this name is this and this. And then so those theorists, of course, live off of that information. So there's all these different people that want to get access to this information so that they can create content or they can ingest content, right? It's not just the content creators out there. There's, of course, the content enjoyers, and they all want this information. Of course, there are also people who just want the information to have the information. And those people I can't speak as highly of. I think the first 3 groups at least have some actual interest in the games, but then there are some people who just want to be the guy that comes out and tells you about the information they heard from the other guy. And those guys can go jump off a cliff for all I care. But this isn't just limited to Pokemon, but I think Pokemon, because they have so many of these other elements, they sort of enabled this 5th point of something for everyone. As an example of a counterpoint, Minecraft. Minecraft has a lot of new mobs and a lot of new blocks and a lot of new farms that need to be built in order to get those blocks. And so when a new update comes out for Minecraft, there are all sorts of people online trying to find good YouTube videos for how do I build a new goat farm? How do I build a frog light farm, right? For the newest Minecraft update. And there are people out there who are willing to make that content. But the difference is a few things. First of all, and the biggest one, Minecraft has beta updates. So all of the people out there who are, competitive Minecrafters, I suppose you could call them, people who are making content to be consumed by large quantities of people who are going to be talking about, oh yeah, and so I did this giant redstone contraption and it took me 40 hours to design, please no steal. Those people are going to be able to do all of that stuff in the beta version. They don't need to rely on leaks. Other mobs, like the Warden, for instance, was voted on by the community. The Minecraft Literate came out and said, here are 3 designs, pick one, and we'll put it in the game. So no leaks were required there. And so there is something for everyone in Minecraft, but that's literally getting shown to them almost on day one. So there's not really that much need for a leak in Minecraft. But because Pokemon hides all of this from their people, right? We're not having community votes on Pokemon designs. Not that I'm saying we should. I don't think that would be a good idea in any way, shape, or form. But because we don't do that, and there aren't any beta releases, then people are going to have to resort to alternative avenues in order to get their Pokemon fix. The last one I want to talk about is that you need to have a mascot-driven franchise. Now, Pokemon, of course, is a very obvious example of a mascot-driven franchise. You have Pikachu. Pikachu is the mascot of Pokemon. But I would argue that all Pokemon are the mascot of a franchise because they're all like Pikachu. Of course, some Pokemon are less strong as mascot characters. Nobody's looking at Miraidon or Esvelus and saying, oh yes, that's a mascot character right there. But every Pokemon is somebody's favorite, right? There's somebody out there who's really into Blitzel. There's somebody out there who can't get enough of Claydol, right? Maybe few and far between, but there are people who really like these designs, and so again, that's why they can sell plushies of them. That's why they can sell little figurines. And Pokemon cards are a huge thing because people like these characters, and so we consider other franchises as well. Nintendo really has a corner on the market when it comes to mascot-driven franchises. Mascot platformers, of course, were a big thing in the 90s, but most of those platform mascots were just riding off of the train that Nintendo had set up. Really, only Sonic persists to this day. Of course, you have the Crash Bandicoot collection and Spyro trilogy that came out recently, but I would say Sonic's the only franchise that's consistently stood the test of time and existed as a separate entity from Nintendo. But even Sonic is sort of sold out to Nintendo more recently, and now they're almost indistinguishable, other than the fact that, of course, Sega is doing its own thing and has its own set of issues aside from Nintendo. But many people who like Nintendo games are also going to like Sonic games and vice versa, and the rivalry that used to exist now is not a thing. It's more or less just you like one, you're probably going to like the other, at least to some extent. And so I want to look at something like Sonic. Sonic has new games coming out occasionally, and I haven't really followed them too closely, but I believe there have been at least a few leaks in the past for various games. And Sonic doesn't really have too much in terms of gameplay surprises. It's a platformer, and you platform in the levels. So it's not really got a lot of miniature pieces that can be broken out and then easily explained to people, right? If Sonic gets a new mechanic in the game, that'll be one of the first things that gets put in the advertising. And past that, all you can say is, well, is the spin dash back? Well, okay. Is the ring dash back? Right? How many things can you say about a Sonic game before you're like, well, that's cool? So at that point, the only thing you can really say about a Sonic game, in my opinion, or at least to my understanding, is, oh, is Charmy the Bee in the game? Did they put Cream the Rabbit in the game? Did they put Rouge the Bat in the game, right? All of these different characters that people have really grown attached to. And Sonic has really strong character design, which is one of the reasons why people like it. And I call those mascots. Pokemon similarly lives and dies by its character design. If people feel like the characters are getting too weird, or they're getting too much like things with eyeballs on them, then maybe people are going to sort of dismiss the Pokemon franchise. But as long as they maintain a high level of character quality, then people are going to be interested in finding out about those characters. Mario, of course, is a mascot franchise. Animal Crossing is a mascot franchise. And if I were to leak a new Animal Crossing game, what would I talk about? I would say, hey, is this particular frog back in the game? Did this particular cow make it back? Oh, look, here's a new design for a flamingo character. I don't know what they have exactly. I don't play Animal Crossing either. But Those would be some examples of what would be interesting for Animal Crossing. And Animal Crossing has sort of a similar crossover with Pokemon in that regard, right? I understand what an Animal Crossing villager is. The only difference is that what do the Animal Crossing villagers do? Besides having a personality, and maybe like, do they give you unique items? I don't even know what they do. But I'm guessing not much. Whereas Pokemon, of course, come with abilities, movesets, stats, all sorts of things you can talk about. Whereas the Animal Crossing designs more or less end with the design, and there's not much to talk about past that point. Mascot characters don't have to be cute and cartoony. Overwatch is another series that gets leaked, and that's a very mascot-driven franchise, right? You have very strong character designs. People really care about these characters. You know, if they change the way Tracer looks or poses, people are going to freak out. People really like Diva, or they like Bastion, or they like all the other characters that I don't understand or know anything about. But as a result, if I can leak the next Overwatch character, well, then that would be really big for me, right? Of course, they don't really have a consistent release schedule, even for updates with new characters, so there isn't quite as much of a leak community, but there's still going to be that desire to see the next mascot. And I want to compare this mascot-driven franchises to franchises that don't get driven by their mascots. For example, Call of Duty or FIFA or NBA, those all have just either generic bland faces, like in Call of Duty, where you can just load in with any random character and just call it a day, or have characters like, oh, is LeBron James going to be in the next basketball game? Well, if he's not, that would be the surprise, if anything, right? If you want to leak that LeBron James isn't going to be in NBA 2K24, whatever is coming up next, well then, hey, leak that information, because that would be news. Otherwise, yeah, we know who's going to be in the game, so that's not really that interesting. So you either have things like that, which aren't a surprise, or you just have Call of Duty, which just has, oh look, there's another dude who can go shooty bang bang, right? Or you have a game like Saints Row, or maybe even Cyberpunk or a Far Cry game, where it's just a character creator at the end of the day, and any other character that's in the game, unless it's a famous person, you're not going to care about, and is not really easily broken up into a quantity that I can easily give you as a leak. So mascots, because they stand so well on their own, and because they're people who people come to know and love, right? Everybody loves Yoshi, everybody loves Zelda, everybody loves Sonic, everybody loves Pikachu. Then those are going to be individual characters that people can care about and want new information about. And Pokemon, all 800 of them, are all in their own way some kind of mascot. So if you can say this Pokemon is coming back, well then that's news, especially now that not all the Pokemon are coming back. So I don't want to go on too much about that, but at the end of the day, this is my list of why I think that Pokemon has such a strong leak culture. Even just one or two of these would make it likely that a game would get some information leaked out there. But to have all of these put together, I think just makes such a strong brew of fans wanting more information, there being enough information that's able to be put out there, because the games come out on such a consistent basis with a time frame between knowing about the game and the game getting released. And then, of course, having an easy way to break up that information such that I can give you, here's one Pokemon, here's one region, here are things that keep on getting repeated throughout the games, and I can tell you this is like this from this game. It's very easy to explain a lot of these leaks without having too much confusion. So as a result, we have these perennial leakers coming in, and whole subreddits devoted to this kind of concept, as opposed to it just being a one-off phenomenon. And so I don't think this is something that will ever stop in the future, because unless Pokemon is willing to just sit on their information until November 5th and then release it the next week, then there's always going to be people wanting that kind of information. So let me know if you guys can think of any other reasons why you think that Pokemon gets such a strong amount of leaks as opposed to so many of the other games, or if you can think of any other games that have had historically a lot of leaks and in communities built up around those leaks with people and faces and names that people know and can go back to time after time. Let me know in the comments. Interested in hearing what you guys have to say. But that's all I have for today. I'll catch you guys later.